I watched my father, Daniel Mercer, get arrested on live TV while standing in my kitchen in Hollis Creek, and my phone started ringing before the anchor even finished saying his name. I didn't answer it. I already knew what everyone was about to ask me to do. They replayed the footage twice. The second time, the camera zoomed in as the officer guided my dad toward the patrol car. I stayed still, cereal going soggy in the bowl, because reacting felt pointless once the whole town had already seen it. Texts stacked up fast. My aunt, my cousin, a number I didn't recognize. Then a message from my boss that just said, "Take today off if you need to." That's when it hit me. My dad had never been loud or flashy. He worked as an operations manager for a small logistics company outside Brookhaven, drove the same gray Honda for years, and complained about grocery prices like it was a personality trait. He grilled at block parties, helped neighbors move, the kind of guy people described as solid. Growing up, he wasn't affectionate, but he was consistent. No yelling, no chaos, just rules. Be on time, don't lie, don't embarrass the family. He said that last one like it mattered more than anything else. I still went to work. I don't know why. Muscle memory, maybe. I sat at my desk pretending to read emails while coworkers avoided eye contact or tried too hard to be normal. Someone dropped a coffee on my desk without asking and walked away. I didn't drink it. Around noon, my mom, Elaine, finally called. Her voice sounded smaller than usual, like she'd been trying not to cry all morning. She said officers had come to the house early, that there were questions, that my dad didn't argue. He just asked if he could change his shoes before they took him. That detail stayed with me longer than the charges did. The story didn't come out all at once. It leaked. Financial discrepancies, client funds that didn't line up, paperwork that had been temporarily adjusted, complaints that had been filed months ago and ignored until they weren't. I started replaying old conversations in my head, searching for cracks, times he'd brushed off questions about work, times he'd insisted on handling certain bills himself, moments that felt boring back then, but heavy now. By evening, the clip was everywhere. Short edits, comment sections, strangers arguing about what kind of man he must be. I watched people who had never met my father decide who he was in real time. That night, there was a knock on my apartment door. I waited before opening it. When I finally did, my Uncle Frank stood there holding a grocery bag, like he didn't know what else to bring. He asked if I'd eaten. We sat on the couch, watching the news on mute. The footage played again. My dad looked older than I remembered, smaller. The next morning, I went with my mom to a lawyer's office in Eastwood Plaza. Every time the door opened, my stomach tightened. My dad wasn't there. The empty chair across from us felt heavier than his presence ever had. Over the next week, people quietly picked sides. Some relatives insisted there had to be a misunderstanding. Others stopped calling. A neighbor I'd known since childhood unfriended me without a word. Another sent a long message about forgiveness and faith. I noticed no one asked how I was doing. They asked what I knew, what I'd seen, whether I thought he was guilty. When I finally saw my dad, it was through thick glass. He tried to smile like everything was under control. He asked about my job, my apartment, whether I was still seeing the same friends. Normal questions, like normal could still save him. At one point, he said, "I never meant for it to get this far." I nodded. I didn't know what that sentence was supposed to fix. The hardest part wasn't the arrest or the headlines. It was realizing the dad who packed my lunches and the man in that footage could both be real at the same time. Loving someone didn't cancel what they'd done. I started handling things he used to manage: paperwork, appointments, conversations no one wanted to have. I learned more about our family's finances in a few weeks than I had in my entire life. People expect moments like that to change you all at once. They don't. They change you quietly, in how you listen, in what you question, in how carefully you separate who someone was to you from what they did. I don't know how this will end. I just know that watching my father get arrested on live TV was the moment I stopped believing stability was guaranteed just because things looked fine from the outside.